Hello? We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Oh, yeah. We can't hear you out here. You're not broadcasting. We can't hear you. Hello? Hello? We can't hear you. Fuckers. Hello? Hello? Maybe in the middle of the prayer and pledge allegiance. Okay.
And then I'm talking also, I did get to study this night. So
I thought I heard something.
So a fundraiser along with it. So it starts at 5 and he's doing the barbecue, by the way. He's doing barbecue. I make sure he call me over and over how many's coming because I don't want to be short on barbecue. So he's getting the barbecue for it and everything. And so I hope that I'll see y'all there. And it's, like I say, it's a fundraiser along with this. I didn't get to study what was the issue on the rock wall. But we were the ones that did I was chair when we did the command letter to go to an engineer on that rock wall. It's been 5, 6, 7 years ago. And the rock wall, I go down there and check it every day to make sure that it hasn't just fallen down. Part of it has fallen down. But it's a shame that it has taken this long. It's in the historic district. It has to comply with the historic rules. Y'all can't change the rules. You can't pick up the phone and call somebody and change them. And you can't go to somebody and ask them. There's a council for this reason, and see, a certificate of appropriateness applies to the rock wall just like it applies to my wall that I had to put up, and it's wooden. So y'all just be sure to stick to the issues, and if you don't know what the ordinance says about the historic structures, it's 4.11 in your UDC, and that doesn't spell it out anymore, but that is a historic preservation ordinance. We spent 2 years writing that. It was entered as an ordinance, and it's still an ordinance. Somebody just took that word out of it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, B. Ballas. B. Ballas.
Hello, everyone. Mayor, City Council, new mayor. I'm sorry to see Laura Swenson go, but happiness to you. Sounds great. Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me? Okay. I'm not here to speak about the election. Really, I would like to see a lot more transparency in the city council and our city in general. I think we need more and more and more. And I think you guys have worked on it pretty good, and I'm glad for that, but we need more. And concerning the election, if we decide not to hold a special election, then we would have Candy Cargill's position open for appointment. And I'm here to say that I would like to see the people who won. I know there's 2 positions that were won, but Candy's position is now open. So I would like to see us go by the 3rd and 4th, perhaps, person on the ballot who won the most votes. So instead of just, picking someone randomly to fill the position, I think the people in a democratic vote decided. And so I would like that you guys, whether you're the new or old council, stick with that. If you're not going to hold a separate election, So I would appreciate that very much. And so good luck and do some good work, guys. So I do want to say that you guys have guts and sitting on the council and being mayor. And so I appreciate that. Anyone who steps up for that position, you have my appreciation. So I hope we can all get good stuff done this time. And let's keep things, frugal for us. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Gosnell.
People have said that there's a lot of things going on in our town, and that means a lot of people coming in. And I want to address the bathrooms. I understand Inframark isn't responsible for keeping them clean, and they check on them daily. I don't know what their definition of check on them is. I think it's to see if there's toilet paper. But it should include at least sweeping the toilet paper off the floor and the cobwebs off the walls around the commodes. We don't want them to become barely better than outhouses, which were banned in the city in the 1940s. Buc-ee's as a standard is probably unattainable, but for us, our goal should be restrooms that our mothers would be proud we were responsible for. So we need to maybe put a definition of checking onto those people that are doing the cleaning.
Thank you very much. Mr. Gosnell.
Yes, this is, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a variation on a theme, but just first a quick word to thank all of those who ran for election to city office in the last election. We had 9 people running for 3 positions. I think that is unprecedented and speaks well for the future of Blanco. Those jobs, as you well know, these jobs are largely volunteer because the pay isn't great. And these are volunteer jobs that you have to run to get elected to. And then once you're elected, then the real work begins. And as those in front of me know, it's a lot of work. So I'd like to thank all of those who ran for city office for their willingness to do that. And I'd like to thank the present council for your hard work in serving the citizens of Blanco. Special thanks goes to Mayor Mike Arnold, Councilwoman Laura Swinson Roche, and Councilman Ryan Moses for all of your hard work. They'll be leaving this council today. You all served well. You can be proud for serving. We're proud of you. Thank you all for serving. As has been said, Councilwoman Candy Cargill is going to be moving up to mayor. Yay, Candy. And therefore her position will be open. Council has three positions, three options. Council can just leave that position open and leave it vacant until the next election. You can do that. Call a special election if you want to spend the money to vote for that position, or as has been said, you can appoint somebody to do that. What the danger there is that some councils in the past have ignored the election and have just gone out and appointed somebody who didn't even file for that election. I urge council to not do that, but there is precedent for doing that in Blanco, and that's why I'm a little bit concerned. So I urge council to fill that vacancy that has created by Councilwoman Cargill's elevation to mayor with somebody who filed for the last election. And I urge council, of course, to appoint Councilman Ryan Moses back to the position. Councilman Moses has done a fine job. He's been on council. He does his research. He was only 3 votes out of being reelected, and I think he'll do us a fine job. Thank you.
All righty, that concludes the public comments. We're going to move on to the canvassing of the special bond election and the general election. Hand it off to our illustrious city secretary.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Okay. So first, for the special election, the bond election, on Proposition A, we had a total of 220 votes for, 66 votes against, for a total votes cast of 286, with 8 undervotes and a total number of ballots of 294. For Proposition B, we had 223 votes for, 63 votes against, 8 undervotes, for a total ballots of 294. Thank you. And
The council election.
and then we need a motion to approve the ordinance.
Okay, we'll do it that way.
Okay.
So we do have the ordinance. It's on here, 2025-0-004. That's the returns of the bond election, declaring the results. Need someone to make a motion.
I move we accept.
Okay, any discussion? A second? All in favor? All right, it's unanimous. Excellent. Moving on, the general election.
Okay. For the May 3rd, 2025 general election, for the position of 1 mayor, we had Jim Reed for a total of 61 votes, Candy Cargill for a total of 227 votes, for a total votes cast of 288. There was 6 undervotes, and 294 ballots cast. For the position of 2 city council members, we had a total, for Wesley Murrah had 43 votes. Richard Anthony Catay had 51 votes. Rodney Thurikill had 108 votes. Ryan Moses had 104 votes. William Depew had 56 votes. Greg Vest had 51 votes. And David Brennans Jr. had 107 votes for a total votes cast of 520, 68 undervotes for a total votes cast of 588, and total ballots was 294.
Okay. So this is the ordinance 2025-0003. That's the canvassing and returns of the results of the general election. Any discussion or questions on that? Any motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second? Bobby, all in favor? Unanimous. All righty. Now it's official. Now I'm gonna swear him in. Hand off the gavel. If we can have, of course, Mayor Cargill, Councilman Railkill, and Councilman Barron's come up. Get his in front of the flag.
They need to sign your statement.
Okay.
Will y'all come this way and sign your statement first? That's yours, that's yours. Thank you, Sarah. Congratulations. Thank you. I'll take it over there.
Yeah, we're doing it here so they can get a picture. Okay, I can do these individually, or we can do them all at the same time. Okay, so when I say state your name, just for one. I state your name. I state your name. Okay. Do solemnly swear that I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered, or promised
That I have not directly or indirectly paid, offered,
to pay, contribute, or promise to contribute.
paid,
Contributed or promised to contribute.
Yeah, that.
This was complicated. Any money or thing of value,
anybody or thing of value,
or promised any public office or employment
or promised any public office or employment
for the giving or withholding of a vote
for the giving or withholding of a vote,
at the election at which I was elected,
the election which I was elected,
or as a reward to secure my appointment,
or as a reward to secure my appointment,
whichever the case may be,
whichever the case may be,
so help me God.
so help me
All
God.
right. Congratulations. I declare you all elected officials. Congratulations. Lori, big picture of me handing them a gavel.
Oh, yes.
My turn, my turn.
Why do you sign this? Okay.
Let's see. I have to get mine.
They changed that oath. That's like really complicated.
You got me all.
Which box?
You got me all messed up.
Yeah, that was a statement. There was- Yeah.
Where did Ryan and Laura go?
Laura's right there.
Ryan,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, where's Ryan?
Ryan, could you come up here, please?
I had it. Sorry. Yeah.
Get out of the way.
This is thank you for your dedication and your service to the city of Blanco. We appreciate it so much. And don't be strangers and keep being as involved as you have been.
Thank you.
And now, this is I have to read this one. I'd like to take a moment to express our sincere gratitude to Mayor Mike Arnold for his years of dedicated service to the city of Blanco. Mayor Arnold, your leadership, your steady hand, and your commitment to the people of this community have left a lasting impact. You have guided Blanco with integrity, compassion, and true dedication to public service. On behalf of our citizens, thank you for your service. We honor the work that you have done and the example that you have set. And as you move forward into your next chapter, we wish you nothing but happiness, good health, and continued success.
So,
Will let you know that I and AI wrote this together.
Mayor Cargill? Matter where Daisy and I sit, you'll have to share it down.
No, I don't have a chair.
Do I have to move?
Yes, you have to move over here. Your chair's picked out.
I do. Thank you, Blanco. I am deeply honored to step into this position, and I certainly hope that I can fulfill your wishes for you. So help me in any way you possibly can. So now how do we do? Where are we?
Now we're on staff.
Oh, staff presentations. Lauren?
So everybody usually have a presentation. We're not gonna do that tonight. We're gonna kind of go with the same, thing. Damon is still staying in Livermore. He's done a fantastic job here, but the family reasons he's moving to Houston. I can tell you that I'm gonna miss him a ton. He's done a lot of work here, many hours. And he's an invaluable resource. I still have his phone number, so I'm still calling once in a while, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna let, Damon leave, and then, Danny Maldonado is gonna take over. He's a man with about 25 years of experience with water and sewer, so I think we're gonna be well taken care of as a city, but as a token of appreciation, I appreciate it. And something else. So, we really appreciate the work you've done, and little pony, but the pot of gold, so. As a future, want to stand up, Danny? That's the guy you get the
Danny Maldonado, and I will do my best also, as Mayor Cargill said, I will do my best to fulfill the large shoes that Damon has left, and if I can help in any way, of course, I will be getting me in communication with Lauren and we'll do the best.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
And Jose's not here today.
Okay.
The report's in the packet. And he'll update all of council next.
Are you gonna be doing that?
I'm not.
Okay. So we're gonna do it.
If you have any questions on the finance report, you feel free to call or email Jose,
Jose,
our finance director.
police report?
Mayor, Council, congratulations on your new seats. I want to give y'all a quick update on the police department. First of all, I want to let y'all know we're continuing our TPCA reaccreditation for best practices. So I'm currently working on updating and changing department policies to comply with the new standards. And our supervisors are going through improved training on those standards. Our community involvement stayed pretty active this month with Market Days, Real L anniversary, and both the high school prom and middle school formal. We were present and tried to be as visible as possible during those events. We had 398 calls for service, which was a significant increase this month. We had 181 traffic stops, issuing 46 citations and 166 warnings. We also had 7 felony arrests this month. So, or 7 arrests this month. So we can tell that summer's here. So, any questions?
Were those all 7 felony arrests?
I said 7 felonies. Sorry, I gotta get caught up on my report. It was two misdemeanors and, well, we took in a total of 10 more, cases, two, misdemeanors and 2 felonies were filed. Or 8 felonies, 2 misdemeanors were filed. So numbers don't always match the same number of suspects. So one suspect could be charged with multiple crimes. So, Chief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a little rusty on these acronyms. CP under call type 61.
Post patrols,
Okay.
like home visits and stuff,
Okay. And then MVA.
motor vehicle accidents.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
You've blinked out of commissions.
Yes, ma'am. We still have 3, actually now 4. I had one go down again today. And so I'm down to 3 patrol units.
Are those like fixable? Are those?
3 of them are unfixable. 2 transmissions have gone out and 1 has major electrical problems. And then the one that went out today is it's up in there right now.
Okay. I just noticed that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're my consent agenda. That is the meeting, the minutes from, the meeting of April 8th, the regular meeting.
I read through that and I didn't see anything that looked like an error to me.
Yeah.
So I have to look at you two.
Yeah. It wasn't here, but I didn't see anything that seemed off the list.
And I read through it and I didn't see anything, so.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, new business, consideration, discussion, and take possible action on approval of Mayor Pro Tem, for the term of May 2025 to May 2026.
Mayor, if I may, I'd like to make a statement,
Sorry.
and I'll keep it brief. I enjoyed being Mayor Pro Tem, and as many of you know, I was on the council from 2003 to 2015 and spent most of that time as Mayor Pro Tem. And it's been good being part of the city working operation. I enjoy doing it. I would consider continuing, but I will say that I heard this afternoon that our new mayor and one of the newly elected council members approached Dennis Jr. to see if he would take that role as Mayor Pro Tem. I certainly won't turn down the position, but I don't want to start out the council either with a feeling of angst and combativeness, which we've had way too long on this council. So if asked, I will serve, but I will not oppose another nomination. And I will say, I'll finish with this. I was a bit disappointed that there was not enough trust to bring you that conversation. And the plan was made before we got here.
Well, I have not spoken to Councilmember Moore about a possible Mayor Pro Tem appointment, but I will say, I think that Councilmember Moore has shown his leadership skills over the last 12 months, shown his willingness to listen, and I think he has the public's trust, so I don't mind making that appointment. In fact, I would move that we would appoint Councilmember Moore to the Mayor Pro Tem position.
Do I hear any discussion or do I hear a second?
And feel free to second just to discuss it.
Of course, abstaining because it's involving me, so I'm not going to get in on that.
There's no second required.
Okay, there is no
You
second.
can call for other nominations and then close the nominations and call for a vote.
Okay, do I hear any other nominations?
I nominate Dennis Moore Jr. to be Mayor Pro Tem.
So is that a second?
That would be a second. He
Oh,
nominated.
I guess it would be a second, yes. I will second that. And again, I would say in the spirit of cohesiveness and a council that will actually work together for a change.
That being said, do I have, how many ayes?
All in favor?
All in favor? You can vote.
I'll abstain. I will abstain. I'm not gonna, won't vote for myself.
I can vote.
No, only in a tie.
No.
You can vote, it just won't count.
I can, okay. But it passed.
Yes, we have 3. It passed.
2, 4, 1 abstain.
3 and 1.
3.
Yes.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Dennis Moore.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, consideration, discussion, and take possible action on approval of resolution 2025 R007, amending resolution 2024 R011, designating persons authorized to sign on the city's depository accounts as official signatories of the city of Blanco. Okay.
So it's usually, the signers have usually been the mayor pro tem, and one other person. And Bobby's already
I was going to.
a signer, so yeah.
So then Dennis Moore Jr. and myself will be added. And do you mind staying on?
No.
No, you don't want to stay on.
No,
He doesn't mind.
I'm happy to serve.
Did you vote on that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we make a motion.
Okay. I'll move that we approve said ordinance.
Second. All in favor?
Happy to second it.
Okay.
All in favor? All opposed? Okay, it passes. Okay. Consideration, discussion, aren't these just riveting? Consideration, discussion, and take possible action on approval of resolutions 2025-R-008, authorized signatories for contractual and financial documents pertaining to the Community Development Block Grant Mitigation CBG MIT Resilient Communities Program through the General Land Office. That was a good one.
So this is the new Resilient Communities grant that we just got. And it's just saying that the mayor, mayor pro tem, and the city administrator can sign documents.
Do I hear a motion?
I'm happy to move that we approve resolution 2025-R-008, authorizing the aforesaid signatories for contractual and financial documents pertaining to the Community Development Block Grant Mitigation Resilient Communities Program through the General Land Office.
Do I need a second?
Mhm.
Do I hear a second? Dennis Moore? All those in favor? All those opposed? Very good. Consideration, discussion, and take possible action on vacancy of the governing body of the city of Blanco, including possible appointment to the governing body or call a special election to fill a vacancy. That's filling my vacancy. So. Mr.
As, just a quick summary, actually, Mr. Gosnell correctly summarized the options that are available to you. When you took office and swore to take office as mayor, under statute, you automatically resigned your slot, creating a vacancy, and council therefore has 3 options. One, you could leave the seat open, which I certainly don't recommend. Number 2, you can call a special election. By the way, the vacancy is for the remaining term of the term Ms. Cargill was serving, which runs through next May. You're in the middle of a 2-year term. So whoever or whatever goes on that special election or an appointment, that's your 3rd option, is to appoint someone for that slot to serve until the next election in May of next year, which will include 2 more other council persons at that time as well. So those are your options, and you're free to take whichever action you want today. You can defer, you can, it's totally within council's discretion under law with those 3 options in mind. So any questions about those? Okay.
Well, Mayor, I don't mind starting.
Okay.
Some of my fire has been stolen by more than one speaker, but I mean, the voters spoke. Ryan Moses was within 4 votes of winning the whole thing. And he had more than almost twice as many votes as any of the 4 candidates below him. And I would think this time particularly, there's no doubt that I think the people that were interested in the position came forward. Certainly we had 7 folks come forward for council. So it's very clear to me that the voters chose Ryan Moses for the vacancy. So I would move that we appoint and swear in Ryan tonight so he can get back to doing the city's business. That would be my motion.
I agree.
You second?
Second.
I appreciate that.
And our question, Ryan, this is actually a question for you, if I may. You've impressed me a couple of times recently, and I've told you that. I know you and I haven't always agreed on everything. But on the big stuff, I think we have. I won't go into the details on that, but my only hesitation has been, again, I had a discussion today. I'm not opposed to this, but I maybe want to ask the question, where do you stand on continued, there has been some disputes you've had with the city and at least potential lawsuits against the city. And as a sitting council member, as I said before, I'm looking for unity. And so we can get past some drama and actually work as a team for the important work that's right here in front of the city. And so any hesitation you may have felt or feel from me is just that fact. Or is it just continued battle and continued rising legal fees for the city to defend itself against Councilman Moses?
As far as that goes, there's multiple landowners, many more than just me involved on that. So I cannot answer as far as the disannexation that you speak of, any further action or what's going to happen in the future on that, because I'm just one of many landowners involved in that process.
You were actually the proponent of that and the vocal proponent around town.
I was a proponent of that, yes. And
I mean, I would respect taking a more of a silent approach in that instead of whipping up or threatening to whip up the citizens against the city, because there's more people that feel like you and understand disputes with the city are allowed and encouraged. And so I'm not opposed to that, but if you're going to come inside the tent as part of the Blanco team, I would hope that you could be on Blanco's side. And if a vote doesn't go your way, then you're still working with the city.
I'm absolutely willing to work with an open mind. That's honestly an open council member, not take my personal feelings or disputes in any type of decision. And definitely I won't be involved in any decisions made on that, obviously, because that's not allowed by laws.
Well, for those who don't know, there was a dispute on some properties that were annexed and unfortunately did not get sewer service to them in a timely manner. We'll say the city currently has an ordinance that septics are allowed, which somewhat lessens that grievance, but the city has worked regularly with these property owners to come up with, make sure that we could offer them a compromise that is acceptable, but not beyond what we could offer every single other property in the city limits on sewer that may not be there. So there's a compromise on the table, and that's it. Tim would probably be kicking me under the table for even mentioning that, but it's in progress, and we're just trying to be fair with all the citizens. So I'll keep it out of the specific dispute, just to say that, in my opinion,
well, not just in my opinion, but in many opinions and many of the citizens, it's important that the city work diligently to get city services to every property in the city limits. That includes sewer to every property in the city limits. So, and we'll be working in that direction, I hope, as a council. And so my hope, I know, again, if you can remove your personal property from that, I know it was a touchy subject before, but
I'm only.
pure politics of it, I don't know if we want to invite it another vote on that's going to vote no every time the word sewer comes out.
I cannot promise to remove my property from that list.
Understood.
Sorry about that.
No, I understood.
But
I just want to be
will not
open-minded
take it
about
back.
assisting the city, bringing sewer, bringing
I have
services
no
to every
problem
other
with the
property.
city serving its citizens. I think that's an honorable thing that should have been done in the past.
That's one reason I got back on the council, because this was supposed to have happened 10 years ago, and it's still undone.
Correct.
But there is no litmus test for somebody to be on council as far as their personal viewpoint. I mean,
Well, multiple lawsuits against the city. He's answered that question. I think there's more than one threatened lawsuit directly to the city. And just that, I think it's important that the council is aware of that, especially the newly elected folks that may not have known this was going on. And you know, was of two minds of, do we take this in private and allow you to speak? So apologies for calling, if you feel called out. But the motion was made.
and it's just not proper to ask somebody how they're going to vote as a litmus test for serving.
And I hope I didn't go that far. I just said, are you going to be combative with the city for personal views while you're a sitting council person? Council, you want to throw in there anything? Or
I do not. I have no further comment. I think the mayor can preside over further discussion if it's required.
So do I hear a second?
I think Davey already seconded it.
Okay, you second.
We had a motion and a motion by Drake Hill and a second by Davy Behrens.
Yeah.
To appoint Ryan Moses.
So,
And I would agree, said it very well, and the speaker said it earlier as well. I think the citizens have spoken, so I would. People vote. Be important.
And I did want to clarify, I hope my motion included swearing him in tonight, if that's at all possible. Okay.
yeah, well, Ryan, we didn't check with you. Would you be okay with serving again?
I would be honored.
Okay. May I have a vote of who is in favor of this?
Okay. then-
Not swear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You just want him?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah. She's better than me.
No, I'm not.
Yes, sir.
Raise your right hand. In the name and body authority of the state of Texas, I state your name.
Ryan Moses,
You solemnly
do
swear
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office,
of the office
city council member,
of city council member,
city of Blanco,
city of Blanco,
of the state of
of the state
Texas,
of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have full council. Okay, number 5. You don't have your family, do you?
Oh, yeah, he does.
Is consideration, discussion, and take possible action on approval of street closures for Lavender Festival. I would guess this would be Miss Libby.
Hello,
Hello.
congratulations, everybody. And I also thank you all for being willing to serve. Really quick, if you'll indulge me just a moment, I have to tell Chief Thornhill a big thank you. My daughter was out staying at our house, getting ready to move to New York, hit the giant pothole as you turn onto Blanco Ave off of Chandler and Poplar Tire. And city girl and a city boyfriend, fiance now, he was getting the tire changed, but Jerry lovingly pulled over off duty, put the lights on him and stayed there until the tire was fixed. And then I noticed there was an orange cone placed in said hole. So So again, Lavender Festival, believe it or not, 20 years. This is the 20-year anniversary of this festival. So in our last board meeting, we were just talking about, well, when Lavender Festival started, well, it started as a 2-day festival with the growers dinner. I don't think they even blocked streets off at that point. And we're just as surprised as anybody that 20 years later, as many people do choose to come to Blanco and visit us for that weekend. So we're expecting a big year. You might have noticed we moved on to weekend 1 this year, to stay off of Father's Day, and in the hopes that that first week in June will not be as hot as the second week. So, right, you got to keep hoping. So what we're asking for is the usual that we always do. We need street closures on Pecan Street from 4th all the way to 2nd Street, and then 3rd Street from 281 to Pecan. We utilize both of these streets and only these 2 streets. Obviously, we can't block off anything else because they're highways. So we request those closures starting at 5 o'clock on Thursday, June 5th. And that is because our tent people come out hopefully close to that time. And they start at this end to allow the pharmacy to close and the other businesses on this end to close. And we work with the folks with Tenuta to make sure that their people are parking outside that barricaded zone so they can continue to do what they're doing. That tent setup, just incidentally, is going to take a little bit longer this year. The Science Mill received a big grant, and part of that grant allows them the money to go out into communities. They're putting up a 20 by 50 tent, and it's going to be an interactive thing for kids, focused on now, instead of STEM, it's STEAM. And so that's going to be great. That's going to be on this end of 3rd Street. So again, 5 o'clock. We usually need those cones and barricades that are provided to us by that time so we can get those barricades up straight away. And that's mostly to keep the traffic to a minimum while the tent guys are starting to keep those tent workers safe. And also we're out on the grounds. We have food vendors coming in that evening too. So it just keeps everybody a little safe if people aren't racing through there. A request about the parking. I know it's a touchy subject, but I have to ask. Last year we came to a, what's the word I want? We came to a common ground on compromise. Thank you. About the Pecan Bottoms, having all but 25 feet closest to the creek mowed so that we could park vendors there. We only allow vendors that are the most needy to be close to park there. Elderly or in some way disabled or have some issue that they need to get to their vehicle a lot. So it doesn't hold a ton of vehicles, but I did notice that last year, just a week or so after festival was over, it looked like nothing had ever happened. So not to say that it's not impactful on that ground there, because of course it is, but until such time as flowers are going or there's a monument there or something's happening, we'd still love to be able to utilize it if at all possible. We will be utilizing the Bulverde Hills Dental Center owned parking lot on 4th Street again. They graciously allow us to park our vendors there. It's just a pretty good little clip for those vendors to get over there. So those that, like I said, those that are in the most need to be able to get to their vehicles more often, or that walk is hard for them, we like to be able to put them there. I did make a request of Warren, and I guess it'll be the new guy. I've noticed walking to the post office back and forth, especially there on 4th Street, there's a lot of dirt and debris up against the curb.
Yeah.
The grates are covered with shiz and stuff. So because we want to put on our best face, we have 30,000 visitors coming that weekend. We want to look as great as we can look, but also that's where our shuttle is going to drop off and pick up those visitors. And we don't want them dropped off right in front of icky dirt pile. So that's just a,
We'll want
that's a
the rest-
vanity
we'll want the
request.
restrooms clean too.
But I'll even help, we can get out there and help too. So just a little bit before you guys make your discussion, we have an 87% return rate on our arts and crafts vendors. 87%, which is pretty big. The people that we do tend to lose are because they aged out or they just can't take the heat anymore. We entertained to fill the 13 remaining spots that we had available. We entertained over 150 phone calls and vetting and looked at over 59 applications to choose the 13 that we allowed as new vendors to come into the festival. So it's muy popular. So we have 110 spaces filled with 93 vendors. Some of them have doubles and triples. That's on the grounds of the courthouse arts and crafts vendors. We have 100% return rate on our Texas made vendors. That's the jerky and the soup mix and all those people over there. And there's a total of 15 of those. 4 wineries, Texas Cannon and Real Ale Beer, Redbud's doing margaritas, the usual music in Bensel Park. Shuttles running from the high school to here, and another shuttle will run from here to the farm, which will hold down on traffic. The First Baptist Church Kids Youth Group have their lots, Texas Regional Bank, Altered, and Second Mile. And this year we've come together to kind of bring those kids in, a little bit more buy-in to the community. We're going to have them all in Lavender Festival volunteer t-shirts so that our visitors know when they see a kid with a sign or something that they're part of the festival. I think that'll be nice for those kids to take a little bit of ownership instead of just, hawking the customers, which has been a problem in the past, but it's not going to be this year. So, and just because I got to say it, there's still lots of holes in our volunteer schedule. So if any of you are willing to serve, there's a sign-up list that goes out in the blast. Our biggest holes right now, because Beer and Lizzie's are really fun and everybody signs up there first, is that shuttle stop, which is actually the first people at that stop are the first people our visitors see when they get off that van. Hi, welcome to Lavender Festival. So very important. We need some good perky folks there. And then the information and souvenir tent, of course, that's people's first impression of our festival. So do you guys have any questions for me?
Does Intamar, are you in the barricades? Do you do the barricades or?
We work with them, so they set them out, we set them up.
So you have all that?
Yes.
Yeah, that.
And we do have security. I've been working with Jerry and Matt. We will have police presence on the grounds 24/7 until the festival is over, and EMS support during our peak times with hopefully a box. Ben hasn't confirmed on the bridge down here on Pecan Street. And then we have a little first aid tent connected to our information and souvenir tent that we started a couple of years ago at Ben Oakley's request, that we can take care of bee stings and skin knees and ice packs and whatnot.
How long do the streets need to be closed on the 8th?
Yeah.
Till what time?
4 o'clock. We strike at 4, and boy, if you've never been here at 4 o'clock on a Sunday, it's something, right? Those barricades come up, and I mean, the 10 people come and boom, 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 it's down fast. So we just pick those barricades up and we step out of the way. We go have a beer, wait for the bedlam to die down. Then we do the perk walk and pick up all the trash, and the guys come and dump the barrels, and it's like it never happened.
I still have a ceramic googly-eyed fish that I bought at the very first one.
Really?
I look at him.
That's an old fish.
It is.
Yeah, so
He
this
still
is my
looks cute.
13th festival to do as executive director, which is lucky 13.
And you're right, because you didn't close the streets, because I made the square and I found a parking spot just close to the vendor. I knew where he was. So I said, God made me, God wanted me
Made
to
me
have
buy
that.
this fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's grown, needless to say.
So I guess, do y'all have any questions about I guess the pecan bottom is the biggest question?
Yes, that's gonna be the hot button issue there. I don't see any problem with road closures, but the pecan bottoms can definitely be a hot button issue. I'd like to find some kind of compromise. I know no matter what, there's an area of grass from the road to the telephone poles. That is technically road frontage. That's not part of the Pecan Bottom Park, even though it's from the telephone poles to the road. There's grass there and it appears to be part of the park. That's technically road frontage and there is parking allowed there by
The
law.
telephone pole that sits on Pecan Street,
If you.
closest to the sidewalk on Pecan?
Oh, think of, the road, Second Street. So along Second Street, there's parking on Pecan Bottom. The telephone poles are set back 20 feet from the road almost.
Any utility pole is actually in the city right away. Anything beyond that is actually the private property. What the council member is saying is that he, not all, but would be willing to let people park in that right of way, but then the area behind that is probably not.
Probably not going to go very well.
So is
That's-
that less than, is that similar to what we did last year, or is that less space?
I think that's less. I think Founders Day, they went, so I think that would be less. You're talking about 20 feet on Second Street. What would be grass?
Well, we would be happy with anything, and we'll do what we did before, and we'll put a little tickies in the caution tape that,
I think we can make.
and we can,
Not past that point.
Minimum impact.
we can piecemeal those vendors that we allow to park there, and they will have a pass. Well, if we can get enough helpers, we'll send people down there to make sure they've got a pass in their window. Just anything is helpful, because we do have some old folks.
What did we do last year? We were 25 feet from the creek.
We're 25 feet from the creek, so they mowed all of the Pecan Bottom except there. We
Was
put a
that there?
line up, no parking past there, and
Well,
they
was
were
there-
allowed to use
Was
that.
there any
line.
issues with that from
There
last year?
was, last year, there was some complaints about that because it allowed the traffic to actually park on the root bases of the old trees that are there. Where the line was last
The
time,
root-
I believe it allowed vehicles to
Oh,
actually
oh,
drive on the roots of the trees. That's one of the biggest issues is.
Because we
driving on
never
the
know,
roots.
we never got any
Well-
feedback about that after.
I think
Why
it
don't
was
we
kind
just
of a-
keep it, because the root ball is gonna be at the edge of the leaves of the tree,
Correct,
right?
correct.
Why don't we just mow the grass at the tree line?
Yeah.
And then,
Make sure everybody stays back.
and then we
Only
stay
on
back
parking
there
on the mowed grass.
on the mowed grass, so you're not driving on the root ball of the pecan bark.
That definitely makes sense. Yeah.
So, and if somebody would want to, I know the grass is high right now, we don't want to do it straight away, but just to make sure visually we go look. And so I make sure I have enough
Yeah.
barrier
Yeah.
tape and picks to make sure it's blocked off.
Yeah, we need to go look at it to make sure that
That I'm clear,
Everybody's
so
on the
we're
same
all on the same
page.
page.
Right.
I have some parking.
Because it will definitely cause issues if we're not sensitive.
No matter.
Well, we want to be sensitive too. Absolutely. You know. I'm a nature
Anything?
girl. I get it, you know.
Anything from the crowd? Anything from the peanut gallery?
As long as it sounds good, just mow out a little,
Yeah.
cut out of what you use,
I like,
you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously we need to go look at it just to make sure that we're all on the same page and only know what's appropriate and then make sure we're all good. But I think that sounds, right.
Retta, would you be willing to take part in that process and going over there and looking at it?
Everybody just needs to remember that it is re-nourishing now after several years of being parked on it every year. But we don't want to start over. So the less the better.
Yeah.
Okay.
The least that we can do.
So,
with those big
yeah, right. I'd say so I think there's an opportunity for a compromise here. We just need to actually go put eyes on it and make sure we all agree because we may have something different in our minds right now. So, but don't think there's an issue with the street closures.
Ready for motion?
Yeah, very sure. Some kind of motion.
All right, on new business, item number 5, I motion that we approve the street closures requested by Chamber of Commerce for the Lavender Festival, June 6th through June 8th, ending June 8th at 4 p.m. and that we will allow prescriptive parking on the Pecan Bottom, and the area that will be allowed for parking will be determined future here.
I'll second. Can I offer a friendly amendment?
Absolutely.
I think she needs the streets closed on June 5th. Is that right?
I need the streets closed on June 5th, the day before at 5 o'clock.
Would like to amend that to start starting closers at June 5th.
All in favor? All opposed? Like unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Libby.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we have discussion and no action on review of series 2024A bond progress with focus on the rock wall.
Okay, thank you,
That would be.
Mayor Cardle and council, and I'll stand up here in just a minute. I'm not going to be able to reach you there, so. Descriptions, I'm going to basically just tell you where we're at with certificates of obligation, and then we'll talk about the last part of that certificate of obligation. This is 2024A, so $1.5 million was awarded on November 12th this year. Majority of that, the first $462,000 was to filter the waste from a water plant. And then on top of that, I think the last meeting we had discussed the sewer line from 15th Street to the city limits at $814,000 plus the reimbursement we'll get to the neighbor's market. And that would still keep us under the cap. I'm going to skip over the retaining wall for a minute and then I'll stand up. Portable generator for the Cielo system is $50,000, and the Pittsburgh lift station, ED had a generator, I think it was just slightly above 25, I think about 27. 6 hydrants at $70,000. And we did some work. We stopped work at Valley 14th, did a little bit less than what we were going to do, and that was a little bit under 40,000. So, okay, so what I wanted to talk a little bit about is the last portion, which I think I provided all of you, might have moved around, but it gave you a scope of work and kind of where we're at with the retaining wall. So a few months ago, we had dirt works remove some of the trees, some of the brush that was in the basically near the wall, and kind of clean that up best that they could. And then they're ready to start working on actually putting, and I want to kind of back this up a little bit. When we were looking at doing this, I think both council and administration knew that this is a retaining wall and not fixing the rock wall that's probably been needed to be repaired for many, many years. And we originally tried to get the Army Corps of Engineers to help us. We looked at different grants, and to actually fix the rock wall the way it's supposed to be, with the rocks in the exact same place that they will always have been, would be well over $300,000. I think that was what we had talked about. However, the idea was to put in a retaining wall that would just go in, basically behind the rocks, and that was the idea. I'm gonna go ahead and show you. So it's gonna look that's kind of a typical of what it would look like. So a few months ago, we started the work, and there was some concern about steps that hadn't been taken. So we stopped doing the work, and to look at those steps and to examine those issues. One of the things we're looking at is we will have a survey crew out there next week or next couple of weeks to make sure that typical is going to be actually on city property and not on anyone else's property. That's the first thing. I want to make sure of that. The other issue as well is there's been some question about what that retaining wall will do to nearby properties. And one of the things we looked at doing is making sure that we have SPI or one of their inspectors there for the critical portions of the work is being done, the laying, the actual putting in the material. And that is one thing that we'll look at doing. And then the other thing is to also have an inspector that will look at both Cranberries and at Lisbon Square, any other properties that would be affected. So, having said that, what I want to mention is we have limited resources, and in no way is administration trying to go in, fix something without your approval. But we also have to look at what is the most, the least expensive but prudent way to fix things. I did present this information to Historic Preservation, and they approved it. So I know there's been this discussion about whether this is COA. We can certainly submit this as a COA, but when I went to HPC, they didn't ask me to do that. I asked them if they wanted me to do that, and they said it wasn't necessary. So, we have the minutes for that. So, having said all of those things, I want to go into. There's been some discussion about whether we have this, and I think you have received an email from a concerned citizen who does have engineering background, and I really respect anyone that has questions or wants to talk about this. I will say that the cost of doing something and engineer it is a lot more than what we have right now. So I believe we've addressed most of the issues, but I think if you have the rough cost for the designing of the retaining wall, so to do the engineering work, it's about $50,000 to $75,000. I think there's some detailed work on that kind of explains it. That does not include, from our engineer though, that does not include the additional cost of the actual construction. So the engineering cost is between $50,000 to $75,000, and then we haven't yet calculated how much additional cost it would be if you were to construct it. And one of the reasons why is because if you're going to expect the engineer to sign and seal it, then they're going to want to do it based on TxDOT standards. And my engineer's here if you have any questions. Jerry Hendricks with SPI is here, but that's the basics. So what I, again, administration, we work for you, but this is about both expediency and cost. And so the question is, based on those things that we talked about, there's additional steps. Is that enough to move forward? Or do you want, if you want engineered plans and an engineered construction, you're probably talking another 125,000. About.
Clarifying question. You asked, what the period on that sentence is $50,000 to $75,000 for engineering. Is that what you're asking for?
So what I'm saying is we know how much additional engineering it's going to be to actually have a engineer sign and seal it. And
that is
for SPI,
50
to 75,000. And maybe Jerry can probably explain that better than me. But what we haven't calculated is additional construction costs, which we believe is another 50, but we don't have that yet without.
One comment I would have is I'm all for having the historic look there with a retaining wall. But personally, I draw the line at understanding or I have a hard time understanding the importance of making sure the rocks go exactly back in the same place they are today, as if someone has memorized exactly where those rocks are and would be upset if a rock had moved 3 or 4 feet to the right or left. If it, in essence, it appears to be a period piece rock wall, I think that would certainly help, in my opinion, help keep the construction costs somewhat in check.
So the $150,000, to answer part of that question, the $150,000 includes the retaining wall and then putting the rocks back as close as possible. I mean, we're not numbering the rocks, but we are doing it as close as possible. And it will look similar. I mean, does it look, so.
Yeah. Well, it's more detailed.
You want to kind of explain anything else I didn't? You have anything to add?
If you remember, our former mayor was going to raise money by taking those rocks out and numbering them and having each rock bought and go back where it is. And that's how that's to be a fundraiser. They're not talking about money and saying this rock wall. I don't think there's any value on it, but you can't put that value on it. In fact, I have something from Rudy on that. the expenses. That's not what we're talking about, it's second rock wall. And we could put it back, second rock back in there, and that's what.
Well, I think it
that's
should be
what-
set back in there,
That's
but
what
just,
Patrick Sparks was gonna do, and he was gonna build just the wall and not the new retaining wall. He was gonna set those rocks back in there. Where it looks the same.
Well, we are gonna put the rocks back.
yeah.
We're putting the rocks back. That's what the cost was
And
for.
for a discerning viewer, if it looks the same, but the rocks are juggled a little bit in a different spot, it doesn't seem like that would matter.
So
So for another couple $100,000 of detailed construction costs.
one of the things I'd like to do, whatever your answer is, I will be meeting with all the property owners the next couple of weeks before we do the survey. So before we do the survey work, we'll make sure that we're not infringing on property rights, make sure that we're cooperating because there are clients too. So we'll make sure that we're doing this the right way.
Okay, well, this was for discussion only, right? We were not wanting a vote for anything.
Yeah, it says
Because
discussion.
on it, because I would still like to have a little field trip down there with the council.
Yeah, we can do that.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'm coming into this late, so I want to thank staff and council for getting us this far and putting it together. I've got a lot of issues with this, but the biggest one is we don't have a bid. Do we? I mean, do we have a bid?
We already hired Dirtwood. Was
there an RFP?
There was not an RFP. There was an understanding that they were going to do the work and council approved it.
Okay, well, I wasn't here, so that's good to know. Wow, okay.
I mean, what's happened, and I'm just going to say, what's happened is you approved the 2024A to start doing work when there was concern, and I get this is a very important part, critical part of the city. And when there were questions and there was concerns, they stopped the work right away. So I don't want to say things were hasty. What I do want to say is that we listen to the public when they have issues and so we stop the work. But that was approved to do the work.
Because to me, it sounds like an expensive, cheap fix. It sounds like putting a Band-Aid on something that we're going to end up ripping off and throwing away. And I don't feel great about $150,000 of taxpayer money all for naught.
So no, I would look at it differently. How I'd look at it is this: you have a liability, and the city didn't do their job years and years ago, and they should have fixed that wall years ago. And what we're looking at is a fix to buy us some more time. After we've done that, then we will go to the Army Corps of Engineers. We'll go to other places to try to get an actual grant to fix the wall, make it look better. But the first step was to try to stabilize the area because you do have businesses that I mean, for example, one of the business owners showed me several cracks in the wall, and there's a concern.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a liability issue, and I'm aware of that. I've seen the cracks. I mean, but if the wall isn't engineered, are we not inviting more liability? I mean, and if we could have the wall we want for 300,000, should we not wait? I mean,
Well, I guess that's our question to the council. If you want to wait and look at it in October, then there's risk of not fixing it now. So, I mean, that's a good question.
I think one clarity is I'm not sure the retaining wall is Band-Aid wasted effort. That retaining wall would not be removed. It would, in essence, as I understand it.
It stabilizes
The safety of the buildings, it stabilizes any future erosion, and it'll stay there and stabilize the new rock wall, whatever. We're not going to be removing that as if you're removing, just a temporary.
And I can appreciate that. I'm surprised that we've gotten this far without a survey because we all know how problematic the property lines are there. Some of them actually encroaching into the building. So it just seems, again, more liability to take on to do this without a survey already.
Well, we haven't actually, the only thing that's been done so far was clearing of the trees. There hasn't been work of the actual retaining wall. So that's the answer is we're doing the survey now, and then we'll start doing the work once we have the survey. However,
there are some steps that you're gonna look at, that you're gonna wanna take a look at, and then we can talk about it.
Okay, quiet. I don't feel good about it.
Second thing, is this something that you foresee, needing action taken on before next regular meeting?
No, we don't need, I don't think we need to. We've already been stopped for about 3 or 4 months. I would caution not to hold on forever, because at some point the work's gotta get done. But if you need to wait a month or two.
I mean, it's not rainy season yet. We're getting into the summer months. Ground's gonna dry out. You know, I'd be more worried about fall time in the spring, you know.
Yes, sir.
The ground expands with water and rain.
So we probably have, like you said, a couple months.
I mean, as far as I'm looking at this design, it looks very similar to the Sparks original design, isn't it? I mean, this is just going through, it essentially looks like the same design, even though we did not have this version engineered. It almost appears as though it's going to the engineering design of what we've already used before, the Sparks design.
I mean, it's designed in the sense that someone designed it, but it's not designed in the sense that you have Sparks or someone from SPI stamping the sign of it.
And there's no guarantee that stays at 150,000, right? We have no guarantee of that.
We have no guarantee. Well, we believe it will. We believe it will.
I know, but I don't want to come back to the taxpayers and tell them our cheap,
hold on.
Our expensive cheap fix is now double the cost of what we're redoing the whole wall.
Well, Councilman, we have a contract for $136,000 with dirt. And this additional engineering work, the survey, so you get the survey and inspections will probably move it above the 150. You're probably looking at about 160, but the construction's not going to become more unless you have it redesigned and re-engineered, then it'll become more. But at this current, at 136, then if the survey, the survey can be about 6, and then those inspections, whatever those are. So you're going to be close, and we're going to be within the 2024A bond amount. It's not a perfect solution, but it is what we have. Okay. Thank you.
I didn't see what was in the plan, but was there, in the agenda, is there a plan presented on this?
I can send it to you tomorrow. It's
I
that.
didn't have time to look at it.
I'll send it to you tomorrow. First day.
Okay, but you can't vote on something you don't have.
There's no action.
We're not voting. We're not voting. We're not voting.
This is a discussion,
You have to have the plan, you have to have the POA, you have to have all of it.
The motion, we have to have a motion, but we're not gonna do.
We don't.
Are you taking comments from the public?
I'm not speaking on as a member of the papers, but as a citizen, that the trees have, I mean, it looks like it says that all the trees will be cleared and all the brush will be cleared in what's in the agenda, so I just wanted to clarify whether or not that's true.
Only the amount that's needed, so.
Okay, because it doesn't say that in what is in the agenda. It says all trees. Our recommendation is all trees and brush are cleared.
We're gonna,
Nobody asked when the others were cut down. There's no plan when all of those others were cut down. It's been removed.
so I guess I'm not following.
She was talking about all the trees
That's
being
true.
left or some being taken down. We're talking about a plan. They can't do anything without the plan.
No, I know, it's just for discussion only, but I just want to, I'm saying that what's in the agenda packet, it looks like it says that all the brush will be cleared, all the trees.
I will get that cleared up. I don't. It's, yes.
It's like when I went and cut the others down and a machine went down there, there's a rule that you can't park 10 feet from that wall. The machine was sitting next to it and the dirt's been loosened up. You know, it's been a problem because of things being done without proper procedure.
Yes.
I'm the one that raised the issue of asthmatic. This, what you're looking at there clearly says it's typical.
wall design. You've got an engineer here, he's gonna tell you that that footing is not been designed. You don't know if that footing is gonna do what you need to do. Till you know, you gotta look at the load.
Isn't that why we're going to have an engineering study? An engineering done on this? 50 to 75,000.
If that's what you, well, we don't have the money for that. I mean, this
He's recommended to do it without that.
I recommend to do it without it. If you want that, then I don't think we're gonna have the money until October, till we have a new budget.
What's the rock wall right now? Is it dry stacked rock?
What's that?
The rock wall.
Mainly, yeah.
It's dry stacked rock from 200 years ago,
From the thirties.
30s, or whatever, I don't know, 70, 100 years ago.
100 years ago. I doubt it was engineered then.
That's what I know money's an issue, but I mean, if it's worked for up till 20, 30 years ago, like you were saying, I mean, but I mean, there's no concrete, it's just dry stacked rocks, right?
That's my understanding.
Okay.
There's some mortar involved, there's some cement, some capping, at least that's what they're.
Capping, yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's stacked limestone.
I think so.
Yeah, I think that's been done along the years when repairs needed to be made. My worry is that is the foundation underneath it, that you don't have the bedrock that you need.
But if it's been holding up for the last
Yeah.
100 years, I mean,
But if they're doing.
anything's better than what it is right now, right?
This building's a starting point.
Okay.
The typical design you got here is, now here's a picture of how dirt would build a retaining wall, an existing one that he's already working on. That does not fit this location. There's not a creek next to that one. I mean, clearly he knows how to put rebar in, and he knows how to pour concrete, and it'll be a hell of a strong structure. But it may not hold the lateral forces. You've got buildings sitting right above that are putting downward pressure, which translates into lateral stresses on the wall. It needs to be designed. If you put just a vertical wall like you've shown there, there's a possibility, I'm not saying it's gonna happen, that vertical wall just falls over. Now, that's not good. Look at the wall next to the cleaners. That wall is falling over. It's been, they put asphalt above the top of it, but if you look at that wall, it's falling over. That's not a well-designed retaining wall. You need to put one in that's gonna last you 150 years, not one that's gonna last you 15 years. I think that's what Rodney's saying, is let's not put in a temporary wall, let's put one in that's gonna be here.
I want the rock wall repaired ASAP, but I just
And I do
don't
too.
know if it
I'm
makes
all
sense to do it
100%
wrong.
For this, but do it right or you get to do it. And October, what's the big deal? You do the design now, you put out the bids, and come October, you'll know what.
If you have the money. I mean, we don't have the money.
No. Do the design, be ready to go,
Okay.
put the bid package out, and then
It was, okay, we've had enough discussion on this one. I didn't bring Elmo, but I'm gonna have Elmo next time. That means enough. Let's move on. Okay, old business. Consider, discuss, and take appropriate action on the following. Consideration, discuss, and take possible action to authorize city staff to coordinate the installation of a shut-off valve and sprinkler supply at the Henry Hotel.
So we've already,
Hotel Henry.
yeah, we already discussed this. I apologize for that being on there. We're working on the solution.
Oh, okay, so this is all, okay.
That was just left up.
So, folks, at 7:25, we're going to adjourn and go into executive session. Did I do that?